just looking for a way to analyze things that are in front of you. So you've got that question in your mind, and you just ask yourself this: is your research question still answerable and worth answering? Okay. You might hit a roadblock. You're like, man, not really. You know, there's no way for me to answer this, and so I'm just going to change focus. Okay. It might be that it's not worth answering anymore because you get to a point in education sometimes where you just say, look, I'm spinning my wheels here. I'm fighting a battle that I'm not going to be able to win, and the cost is too high on me personally to try to do this. And you might come to that point. You just have to start to accept what is the way it is. I may have shared this with you before, but some colleagues of mine at Liberty and I, we were talking this year and just came to the conclusion that as we've seen a lot of turnover and a lot of people coming and going out of Liberty in the last few years, again, one of those things that you wouldn't know unless you spent some time at Liberty. You'd think, man, I hear about Liberty all the time, but you don't realize our staff has turned over in the last 3 years. The seniors that graduated 3 years ago could come back and they don't even have the same English department, science department that's sitting around. Math is held steady, but anyway, it's just one of those things. So we just talked to you and said, I think the reason for that is simply you don't have the personality when you come into this line of work and you realize there are things that you've got to accept. You will not be able to change them. It ain't gonna happen. If you're not able to come to that conclusion quickly, within the school year, you move on. You go somewhere else because it's too high of a cost on you personally, because you're trying to change things that aren't going to change. And those who can learn how to work in that environment and still be effective, you realize, I can't change that, but you can still be effective at what you do are the ones that stay and have success. And that's why we continue to have success at Liberty, because we have enough folks that are able to stay there and do that. And the new folks who come in, they're successful. I mean, on some level. It's all the extra things that make them think about moving on. Like having a staff meeting every Wednesday is one of those job requirements, and you can't do anything about it. If you want to try to change that, you're spinning your wheels. Okay, you could read all sorts of research that said, well, we learned that in one situation, like having a staff meeting once a month increased teacher morale, and it was great, and you could go present that to our principal, and you're not going to get anywhere with it, okay? Because the meetings for our principal are a matter of organization, and that's just one of the limitations of our principal. She needs that time. She needs that time on Wednesday afternoon to see how the school's running with everybody in front of her. And I understand that side of it, but it just gets old. Meeting every Wednesday. All right, enough about that. So is it worth answering? Is it even answerable? All right. Now we've talked about our data collection tools. Are you getting stuff that you want? Are you able to filter out the stuff that you don't want? Okay. I'm just going to skip this and leave that up to you to read about in the text. Okay. We'll focus on that because what's happening in this textbook is it's going a full-blown, all-out. If you want a resource in the future for how to perform an action research project in your school and have it written up and perfect, read the text. It lays it out very well. But that's not practical for us in a 4-session course for us to try to dig that deep. We don't have that time, and it's not realistic because you're not in the actual environment right now for us to simulate that with big points. So you can read up on that. There's a couple things that you read in the text. Okay. All right. So when you do your data analysis, we have a summary of our data, and the way we'll do that is obviously with our descriptive statistics. Okay, mean, median, mode, maybe a graph. We're going to get into talking about standard deviation today, normal curve distribution, a bell curve, things like that. So your summary of data, okay, and the technique that you are using there is determined by the type of data. So we're thinking about quantitative or qualitative, but you're also kind of thinking about the way that you're gonna attack that data depends on what you're dealing with. Now, for us, in our practical application, we're gonna be dealing with classroom data, grades, stuff that came to you through your students' performance, okay? So that'll make it more applicable to you. All right, and then our interpretation, and this is the side of things that I want you to be able to do on the final exam. I want you to be able to interpret, find meaning in the data, understand what it says. The benefit of you being able to do this extends beyond the classroom, extends beyond your profession as a teacher. I believe that if you can interpret data, you become a better consumer, a better citizen, so to say. You question things on television when you see a commercial in the future. And Dr. Phillips gave me this curse. He was the one who led me through courses in my doctoral work that dealt with, you know, looking at research, finding what's in there, digging deep, questioning the stuff that's being said, looking at the other side of the story. After I got done working with him through his courses, I can't watch television and see a commercial and not have something to say. You know, like, that's not true. It's a ripoff. Did they even think about this? You know, and I'll sit there and I'll talk out loud sometimes, and my wife will be like, "You're over analyzing a commercial. What are you doing?" And it's just, it's the curse of being a researcher. So you can't ever watch something on television and just take it at face value. That you question everything now. You know, they claim that, you know, drinking a Diet Pepsi every day is going to give you cancer or something. You're like, well, where did they do their research? Is my first question. Who did they research that on? You know, and you're not supposed to be doing it, right? That's going overboard. But I do that. I think about the story behind what happened when they presented the things. So it'll make you a better consumer because you'll question the things that are being presented to you. Because marketing is, anybody been in marketing before? They are good. They are so good. You know, I don't have one of these of my own. This is unions, but I feel like I need one because I watch the commercials and they make me feel like if I don't have one, then my life is not good. Okay? So they're very good at what they do, but really, can you find the meaning behind the data? You know, their data is qualitative, saying that your life will be better. Is it really? Okay. So these are things that you'll want to look through in the text, okay, as far as how to organize your qualitative data. And also about your data analysis techniques, okay? So we're just, you know, again here, this is not my focus for our presentation today. These are things that your author of the text is saying were highlights of chapter 6. When you read chapter 6, you're going to get that information if you haven't already read it. But I'm not focused on that in preparation for you guys on the assignment that I'm going to give you and the final. So let's move on. This is what it's a continuation. And this is something that, for those of you who are visual people, chapter 6 is really kind of brings together. Y'all done concept maps before, okay? And it's just a good way to help you kind of put everything together in your mind, okay? But not a focus for me. I'm not going to have you write a concept map on the final exam, okay? All right. What I want to glean from this slide is that statement there, to state what's missing. You need to always avoid making unwarranted assertions, okay? And this leads back to our conversation on correlation. When we find a high correlation coefficient, that does not indicate causality. We do not prove anything through research. We open the door for a greater conversation. We add to the body of research. When I was working on my dissertation, it was stressed to me that what you are doing is you are contributing to the body of knowledge in education. That's what you're doing. Whereas somebody might be able to come along and make replicate your study. You need to be that detailed on how you did yours so they could replicate it. But also that they'd be able to piggyback off of yours to do something else and keep the story going. Okay? So that's what research is about. So when y'all are action researchers, and it's only affecting you, you're in the classroom, you're doing it for you, you're going to piggyback off of that experience, what you found out as you move to the next level. Now I think, to be practical with you and realistic, you're not going to have all that documented. That's up here in your head. And that's what walks out the door with a veteran teacher that retires. You can't put that on paper. It's all up here. It's their experience and their knowledge. You have that. So you've already done action research in your first years of teaching. So it's there, but now what this course is trying to help you do is be able to put it on paper if you need to be able